Alright, so we made it to our next site, which is Johnstown Flood National Memorial. So in May of 1883, I believe, I'm looking at what used to be a lake down here, a reservoir actually. You can see that in the distance. With a earthen dam just over in this area. And in May of 1883, the dam let loose. Like, didn't just break, but apparently the whole dam apparently just gave way, and the lake emptied into this valley downstream. And just under an hour later, the village of Johnstown was just devastated with a huge wall of water. It was like 20 million tons of water, I think it said. Like, the numbers are just staggering. 2,200 people died. The flood was moving at like 40 miles an hour. 75-foot high wall of water. Like, it was horrific. And of course the flood had all sorts of debris in it. Excuse me. Yeah, it said there's a viaduct downstream that acted as a temporary dam for some of it, and that accumulated like 100,000 tons of trees and buildings and people and animals and other assorted debris. And then that let loose, and it wiped out a few small towns on the way to Johnstown. And it was like just like completely devastated this whole valley. It was really, really serious. And within the hour, like, that lake was drained, just gone. So I can see there's like a small, sort of like medium-sized creek down there. I don't even know if it's a river, really. And that's all that remains. I guess that's what was dammed originally. But this valley is where that lake was. And it even said there was I think a factory that made barbed wire. And when the flood hit that, the boilers blew up, and so miles worth of barbed wire got added into the debris that was part of the flood. It was like just, adding insult to injury. So yeah, it was bad. So there's a short trail down to the dam overlook. So I'm gonna head down there next and get a little closer look at where this lake used to be. So a quick stop before I get to the dam overlook. This house right here belonged to a Colonel Unger. This is the Unger house. And apparently he and some laborers made a desperate attempt to save the dam by trying to dig a spillway and help divert some of the water to take the pressure off the bulk of the dam. It didn't work, obviously, and the dam broke anyway. But it said once he realized that the efforts weren't going to work, he ran back up the hill and collapsed just as the dam collapsed, and all he could do was watch the floodwaters head toward Johnstown. It must have been absolutely devastating. But before that, he had built this house and had an amazing view of the lake. There's a grand staircase here. Before the Park Service bought it back in the 60s, I guess, and restored it. It had been in some disrepair. gonna head down to the dam overlook now. I made it to the viewpoint of the dam overlooking what used to be the dam, and right now it's just a pleasant looking valley. Had some train tracks running through it, but in that May of 1889, I said 83 earlier, it's 89. Yeah, you can see where the tree line is right there. That would have been the shore of the lake that was here, and that's what flooded down the valley off to the right here. So across I don't know if you can see it on the video, over here is the other side of the dam. So it would have been sloped down that way toward the lake, and that on the downstream side. And what I'm standing on is this side of the dam. So everything in between, over to that viewpoint, that's where the original dam was, and that's what they say just pushed out in one big motion when it let loose. So that this whole missing section of the dam just went, and so it had the whole force of the lake behind it, and just rushed down the valley and eventually wiped out Johnstown and a few other smaller towns along the way, killing 2,200 people. Can't imagine what that was like back then, like seeing that, like I said before, like what Colonel Unger would have seen. Just unbelievable. And now it's just, you can see the stream that originally would have been, which is what would have been dammed and made the lake to start with. So now it's, now that I'm closer to it, it does look like a bit more of an actual river. But yeah, crazy. And apparently it was neglect over the years that wound up leading to the disaster, which it tends to be the case. They say it was well engineered for its time, but just hadn't been kept up very well. I'm going to stop by the spillway on the way back, because that was part of the issue too, was the spillway. Yeah, just crazy. So I'm on a little footbridge over what was the spillway for the lake here. So the spillway would have gone off in that direction into the woods. So the spillway was designed to keep the dam from overtopping, which is just when if the lake level got too high, the spillway would divert some of the water so it didn't flow over the top of the dam. And on the day of the tragedy, there had been apparently insane amounts of rain, and the lake was filling up quick. The spillway couldn't keep up with it, and it just wasn't engineered for the amount of water that was coming through it. And so the dam started overtopping anyway. And I'm not sure if this was the spillway that Colonel Unger and his men were trying to modify or dig out, but this was what was in place originally to prevent overtopping, which didn't work. So they probably just never expected that amount of rainwater. So yeah, it was I don't know if it could have been prevented with the technology at the time, but yeah, there was just a lot of stuff going on that added to the situation. So that was another quick trip to a national park site, Johnstown Flood National Memorial. So we're gonna make one more stop just down the road a bit, hopefully before sunset, and that is the Flight 93 National Memorial.